Many people who are raped and sodomized in CMI. We have had many cases of men that are arrested, tortured, and raped/sodomized in CMI under the watch of General Museveni. However, he again tries as much as possible to twist it around to blame it on opposition. Yes, I also mentioned when I was asked about some of my MPs that work with Museveni, and I said, some of my MPs work with Museveni. Don't you know them? Don't you know that some of my MPs work with Museveni? Do you want me to mention them? You are mentioning them around Kagabo Amwe. Doesn't he work with Museveni? Isn't Jimmy Rwanga UP? Doesn't he work with Museveni? Some you know them, some you don't know them yet. Thank you very much. There is a 30 billion shillings put aside to help artists and musicians. Now, I am an artist and I'm not only knowledgeable but concerned in this area. I know that we as the entertainment industry, we need support, but the support is not handouts. We need the policies that will make even the artists in Kabongo, in Kabera Maido, in Gomba, in Rushere to benefit from a good system, not handouts. I've told my fellow artists time and again that they should not be reduced to beggars. But many of them were arguing that I am bringing politics into music. And they are saying that we should separate music and politics. I want to reiterate my points again, that politics, among other things, is concerned with slicing the taxpayers' money and apportioning it to different things. So, this is how taxpayers' money is being apportioned. Artists have been demanding for a copyright law that will make sure we have policies that will protect artists, not giving them money. But this time around, because General Museveni believes in, patronage, he believes in bribing, he has put that money aside, which money I am even sure is not going to reach the artists. The artists are only being used to steal money. And before long, you'll see fights in the industry, you'll see divisions in the industry, and yes, you'll see so many of them silenced and compromised to support the regime because they will have committed crimes relating to corruption. Now, that is not the problem. The problem is here. First, there's a problem that out of that 3.5 trillion, 418 billion is going to Museveni's house. Now, this is a man that is already spending 2 billion shillings every day. However, that is not enough. Museveni needs another 418 billion to spend some more. Now, an even bigger problem comes here. On top of the 3.5 trillion, there was an addendum of 55 billion. Now, this sounds like a scandal, and it was important that I communicated to you, ladies and gentlemen. You remember that in the past supplementary budget last year of 77 billion, members of parliament were each bribed with 40 million shillings. Many of them denied it, but yes, some of them actually spoke the truth that they were given that money. This time they are giving every member of parliament 100 million shillings as a bribe to pass that supplementary. Let me repeat it for clarity. This time the regime is bribing every member of parliament with 100 million shillings of taxpayers' money in order to pass this supplementary budget. Now imagine 55 billion shillings just going out to members of parliament as a bribe. I want to use this opportunity to warn our members of parliament that we know about this and we have broken the news to the population. I have said it many times and I'm saying it today that I will always tell the truth and I will not defend or protect anybody that gets involved in this grand theft. We'll get details and maybe among questions. I'm very glad to have our Minister for Finance here, and it will be a great thing if we would get opportunity to answer a few questions from you. But with that state of affairs, with the way our taxpayers' money is used, now you know, ladies and gentlemen, why our roads are in such a bad state. Now you know why our schools are in such a state. Now you know why the regime is trying to silence us. Now you know why the regime is trying to bring all manner of diversions in order to cover up for that. Now finally, ladies and gentlemen, I also want to take this opportunity to respond to the deliberate twisting of my comments during a BBC interview that I had in London. You heard regime propagandists have been trying as much as possible to twist my words, and I'm here to clarify on those words. First and foremost, my words were taken out of context on that BBC interview by those propagandists. I was in the United Kingdom after 10 years. Many of you already know that in 2013, I was banned from the UK for life, never again entering the UK because of the lyrics in one of the songs that I did. And in those lyrics, yes, I took responsibility because I actually called for the banning and the killing of all homosexuals. I took responsibility, and yes, during that interview, I communicated that people grow and transform. And as a leader, I transformed from calling for the death and killing of people that differ from me. Regime propagandists tried as much as possible to twist my words, but again, still stand by my words because I am a leader. Which leader wants to be a leader of all people in the population, even those that are not like me? So I'm not calling for the killing of anybody. Mic check 1 2. So I am not calling for their killing. I also want you comrades to know that this issue has been turned from a moral issue to a political issue. The gay issue is used by Museveni's regime to play politics, and it's a political weapon. Now, you remember that he's the one that brought the law in 2014, and then through his proxies like Andrew Mwenda and Fox Odoi, repealed the law again. Now, whenever Museveni sees that he has no popular or political support, he picks up on something that he thinks will build him once again. You have seen him trying to use it against his opponents, and he continues to use it shamelessly. It's the same Museveni that tries to hook on our morality and on the children and to say it's in protection of children. But you all know that in the schools where our children are getting problems, who on that list, they are notorious human rights violators, like a one Christopher Damolira. Most of you that have been arrested and taken to CMI, you know the role that Christopher Damolira is playing in abducting and murdering our people. So we know that on that list, we have Christopher Damolira, we have people like Rugumayo, we have people like Namanya Napoleon, and all top and middle level, officers in Museveni's government. We are focusing on them, and we are calling on the international community to sanction these people. Probably when they know that there are repercussions for their actions, they will stop these gross human rights violations. Ladies and gentlemen, another issue I want to address is the recently passed supplementary budget. The regime pushed through their majority in parliament for an additional 3.5 trillion shillings. Now, what is this money for? This money is going to be spent on laughable things, among which are narrated by regime propagandists trying to take the interview that I had recently in BBC out of context. First of all, I am back in the country from a long trip, and I thank God that all went well. I want to remind the nation that we are still firmly pursuing the issue of our missing people. More than 18 families are missing their people. People were abducted, they continue to be abducted, but most importantly, there's a group of 18 people that are notoriously missing, that include comrades like Chibalama and many others. We thank the people of Uganda that have relentlessly demanded for those people. We want to thank our parliamentary team led by the noble Honorable Matthias Mpuga for pushing so hard on that line. As you have noticed, the regime is at crossroads. You saw Madam Wangadia dismissing the issue and also complaining that we have refused to take this issue out of the media, out of public domain. We shall not stop. We want our people back. You also saw that in its desperate attempt to divert us, the regime, through their RDC in Kayunga, paraded a fake Martin Lukwago, claiming that Martin Lukwago, who has been missing for more than a year, had shown up. Of course, the wife of Martin Lukwago and the children dismissed this fake man. That was not Martin Lukwago. The regime fell flat on their face. We are informed that they are holding on to that man, but the same thing, the same story as all of you remember, that the military spokesperson presented a man that was burnt, but this time having compromised him to lie that we are the ones who burnt him. We continue to demand for our people. And yes, it is for that reason that we have been moving the world over, calling upon all allies of Uganda in the West to take this gross human rights violation very serious. Thank you very much, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, just to remind you, we had the opportunity to document gross human rights violations that happened before, during, and after the 2021 election. And yes, we have a film, a documentary film, that's showing the real picture of Uganda to the international community. Not only that, but we have been knocking on various doors, demanding that the United States, the European Union, and all these other democracies across the world stop dealing with General Museveni as if they're dealing with a legitimate leader. We have singled out those regime people, the high-ranking military officials and officials in other institutions that are involved in gross human rights violations, for targeted sanctions. I am happy to report that on top of people like Kari Kaihura, on top of people like Abel Kandiwo and Erweru, recently, Biabashaija, who hates prisons, was sanctioned. Now, these sanctions, what do they mean? These people steal money, taxpayers' money from Uganda, and they are rich, they invest this money abroad. That's where they go for medical treatment, that's where they take their children for all that they